Are you tired of feeling anxious in your relationships? Do you find yourself constantly seeking reassurance and struggling to trust your partner? If so, you may have an anxious attachment style. But don't worry, healing is possible. In this video, we'll dive into the process of understanding and overcoming an anxious attachment style so you can have healthy and fulfilling relationships. Understanding anxious attachment style. An anxious attachment style is a pattern of behavior in which an individual has a strong desire for closeness and intimacy in their relationships, but also experiences fear and insecurity. People with an anxious attachment style may constantly seek reassurance and validation from their partners and struggle with trust and independence. They may also have a tendency to become overly clingy or dependent in relationships. Possible causes why you have anxious attachment style. Now, the causes of anxious attachment style can be complex and multifaceted, but some possible contributing factors include 1. Early childhood experiences. Anxiously attached individuals may have experienced inconsistent or emotionally unavailable caregiving during childhood, which can lead to the development of a fear of abandonment and an excessive need for reassurance in their adult relationships. This can lead to feelings of insecurity and fear of rejection, causing the individual to develop an anxious attachment style. As a result, the individual may have learned to seek constant reassurance and validation from others in order to feel secure in their relationships. These patterns of behavior can be carried into adulthood, making it difficult for the individual to trust others and form healthy relationships. 2. Trauma. Traumatic experiences, such as abuse or neglect, can contribute to the development of an anxious attachment style by causing an individual to have a heightened sense of fear and insecurity in relationships. For example, if an individual has experienced physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, they may develop a fear of being hurt or rejected by others. This fear can cause them to avoid intimacy and close relationships, or to become overly clingy and dependent on relationships as a way to avoid rejection. 3. Genetics. Research suggests that certain genetic factors may make an individual more susceptible to developing an anxious attachment style. Studies have found that certain genes, such as those that regulate the release of the hormone cortisol, may play a role in the development of an anxious attachment style. Cortisol is a hormone that is associated with stress response, and if it's overactive or imbalanced, it can lead to a heightened sense of fear and insecurity in relationships. Other studies have found that variations in certain genes that regulate the release of neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin may also make an individual more susceptible to developing an anxious attachment style. These neurotransmitters are associated with mood regulation, and if there is an imbalance in their levels, it can lead to increased feelings of anxiety, fear, and insecurity. 4. Modeling. If an individual's parents had an anxious attachment style, they may learn this behavior pattern and adopt it for themselves. This can happen through a process called modeling, in which an individual learns and adopts behaviors, attitudes, and values from observing and imitating the behavior of others, particularly those in their family or close environment. 5. Cultural and societal factors. Societal and cultural values and norms can contribute to the development of an anxious attachment style by shaping an individual's beliefs, expectations, and behaviors in relationships. For example, women may be taught to be nurturing and dependent on their partners, which can lead to overly clingy or dependent behavior in relationships. Men may be taught to avoid vulnerability and emotional expressiveness, which can lead to an avoidance of intimacy and close relationships. It's important to note that these causes of anxious attachment style can be interrelated, and other factors can contribute to this style. Healing from anxious attachment style. Just like what we mentioned a while back, an anxious attachment style is a form of attachment disorder. And like any other disorder, there are several ways those suffering from anxious attachment can work to heal and develop healthier, more secure relationships with themselves and others. Here's what you can do. 1. Learn to recognize your triggers. Anxious attachment patterns stem from learned behaviors as well as experiences you had in childhood. When you become aware of your triggers, you can start to take steps toward healing them. By paying attention to your emotions, you can learn which situations or people bring up feelings of worry or anxiety and then focus on addressing them before they get out of control. Additionally, it may help to create a list or journal entries where we document these moments so that over time you can better recognize the warning signs before they become overwhelming. 2. Develop emotional regulation skills. Learning emotional regulation skills helps you manage your feelings in difficult situations, which is essential for healthy functioning relationships. This could include activities like deep breathing exercises or guided meditations that help you find inner peace and reduce stress. Additionally, it is important to practice self-awareness and mindfulness so that you can identify when your thoughts are taking a negative turn and actively decide how to switch them towards positive outcomes instead. 3. Develop self-compassion. Self-compassion helps you break down walls created by anxious attachment styles because it teaches you how to treat yourself with kindness rather than judgment or shame, which only further perpetuates the cycle of distressful emotions stemming from this condition. Take some time out for yourself each day for self-care, such as relaxing activities like reading a good book or going for a walk outside. Just do something that will make you feel good about yourself. 4. Create boundaries with others. Learning how to set healthy boundaries with the people around you helps in asserting your needs while also allowing those closest to you to understand what they should expect from you in return. This creates clarity between both parties involved in any relationship dynamic, which is essential for trust building and emotional security overall. It's important to not be afraid of voicing your opinions while also remaining respectful. Communication is key. 5. Seek professional help. If anxious attachment symptoms are leading you into distressful states, then seeking professional help may be beneficial in order for long-term healing processes. Finding an experienced therapist who specializes in attachment issues will provide you with the guidance you need in order to gain insight into your experiences as well as develop new coping strategies for managing them accordingly moving forward. 6. Join a support group or online forum. Another helpful step in healing from an anxious attachment style is to join a support group or online forum for people with similar experiences. This can provide valuable opportunities for connection and support from others who understand what you're going through. 7. Be patient. Healing from an anxious attachment style takes time, so it's important to be patient with yourself. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is recovery. Trust that you will get there eventually if you keep working on it. It takes time and effort, but those suffering from anxious attachment styles have the potential to heal from their past trauma and enjoy healthier relationships with themselves and others moving forward. All it takes is patience, dedication, and commitment. The dark side of anxious attachment style in a relationship. An anxious attachment style in a relationship can have various harmful effects on both partners. People who suffer from anxious attachment often seek excessive reassurance and validation from their partner, leading to overdependence, clinginess, and a fear of abandonment. Such individuals may become overly possessive or jealous due to feelings of insecurity, which can create an unhealthy power dynamic within the relationship. Individuals with anxious attachments may strive to control their partners due to fear that they will be left alone whenever they are not actively doing something together. Furthermore, when the individual with anxious attachment is not receiving the validation that they need in order to feel secure in the relationship, this can lead to feelings of resentment and anger towards their partner. This can result in outbursts of rage or aggressive behavior as a means to put pressure on the other person for reassurance and understanding. At its worst, this pattern of behavior can cause deep psychological damage to both parties involved in the relationship. For example, it can lead to anxiety disorders and depression from one partner feeling trapped due to overdependence or feeling like their needs are never fully met by their partner. On the other hand, it can also leave the other partner feeling overwhelmed and isolated by always having someone demanding their constant attention and emotional energy. In addition, people with an anxious attachment style are often faced with communication difficulties due to constantly worrying about how they will be perceived by their partner or what kind of reaction they will get if they express themselves openly. As a result of being unable to communicate authentically within relationships, might ultimately lead them down a path of loneliness and isolation as it becomes more difficult for them to connect emotionally with anyone else around them. All in all, an anxious attachment style within relationships has many potentially harmful effects that could impact both partners adversely if left unchecked. It is important that each person takes responsibility for making sure they are able to communicate effectively with each other while maintaining healthy boundaries so that no one is ever taken advantage of or ends up getting hurt emotionally in any way whatsoever. Anxious attachment styles can be difficult to overcome, but with the right tools and support it is possible. Understanding your anxious attachment style is key in developing healthier relationships. This means learning how to manage triggers when they arise, being honest about your needs and feelings, setting boundaries that are respected by others, and actively engaging in self-care activities. With dedication and commitment to healing from an anxious attachment style, you will be on the path toward a more secure relationship with yourself and those around you. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching this content, it would mean a lot if you subscribe and give a thumbs up to this video. This way, the algorithm will know that you enjoyed our channel and will suggest this to other viewers. Stay safe and we'll see you at the next one.